Greetings, everybody, on the sci fiction awesomeness. If you're listening to this on Subspace Radio Network on iHeartRadio, this is episode 51. We are here live, simulcasting on all channels Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We have an amazing guest joining us here in just a little bit after we get done with the news segment. His name is Jeffery Morris. He's a science fiction creator, does a lot of cool stuff. We're going to go over some of the news items here real quick, and we're going to show you the trailer for his new documentary project he has. We'll show that first off. It's an amazing new project. He's got a Kickstarter going. He's raising funds for this amazing project. It's a new documentary exploring the origins and cultural impact of the Eagle spacecraft from the classic television series Space 1999. Let's watch.
Hi there, this is Nick Tate. I'm super excited to be part of the new documentary, The Eagle Has Landed. An exclusive look starts now.
50 years ago, an icon was born. The Eagle transporter is one of the greatest sci-fi spacecraft ever conceived. To this day, the design provokes an intense devotion among countless fans around the world. The question is, why? I'm writer-director Jeffery Morris. I've been enamored with the Eagle since I first saw it in the TV series Space 1999 back in 1975. As a child who followed the Apollo program, the Eagle felt like a direct descendant of NASA's lunar module. Those transformative moon missions left an indelible impact on a generation, as did the Eagle in Space 1999. Over the years, I've discovered that I'm just one of millions of fans who has an affection for the Eagle and a nostalgia for a future we never achieved. So I'm shooting a feature documentary about the origins of this beloved ship, while also exploring its ongoing cultural impact. And I'm inviting you to join me. I'll be speaking with the Eagle's designer, visual effects wizard Brian Johnson. I'll also chat with Nick Tate, the actor who played legendary pilot Captain Alan Carter. It's going to be an epic journey as I travel around the globe to speak with Eagle aficionados and luminaries from the worlds of science and science fiction. As for myself, the visionary world building in Space 1999 blew my mind. It ultimately inspired me to become a filmmaker and production designer. I'm the creator of hard sci-fi projects such as the forthcoming deep space adventure Persephone, the apocalyptic underwater thriller Oceanus, and the universe-hopping techno-fantasy Parallel Man. Now I'm bringing all of my experience and passion to the creation of this documentary. The good news is we've already begun production. We self-financed a shoot in Louisville, Kentucky at Wonderfest, where I spoke with lifelong Eagle fans from around the country. They shared passionate stories about the iconic vessel and the aspects that make it so memorable. Then I traveled to Colorado, where I interviewed Kevin J. Anderson, the best-selling author of books set in the Dune, Star Wars, and X-Files universes. He also happens to be a huge fan of Space 1999. Recently, Kevin and I co-authored the novelization of my film Persephone. We had a blast discussing our mutual love of the Eagle and what it represents. Yet, there's still plenty left to do. I have to hire production crews at locations around the world. I also need to create visual effects and music. And of course, it all has to be edited together at a level that will rival any award-winning documentary. Now I'm asking for your assistance in completing the voyage. Check out our Kickstarter. There are tons of great rewards and even a couple of awesome stretch goals. A future began 50 years ago, and its time is now. Become a supporter of The Eagle Has Landed.
The Eagle Has Landed is the name of the film project, and it is on Kickstarter right now. So I highly recommend checking that out. And it's going to be awesome. He's going to be joining us here shortly, Jeffrey, to talk about his projects, including his other films. He's got all kind of sci-fi goodies. We're going to bring you on to the sci-fiction website to go over some trending news items right quick. Everybody's having a beautiful day. My name is Owen. You are now on Sci-Fiction Official Facebook, Sci-Fiction Official on YouTube, Sci-Fiction.com on Facebook, Sci-Fiction on Twitter and Twitch, and all the goodness. Here's Sci-Fiction.com. Got a few news items. Ahsoka Episode 5 review. Just had the 5th episode. About that, the 6th episode. We have both 4 and 5 reviews on the site, as well as 3, 2, and 1. I got all the goodies here. I don't spoil it too much. If you haven't seen the show, check it out. If you have seen the show, rather. Star Wars announces a Lego USC Venator class Star Destroyer Lego model. It's massive. Highly recommend checking that out. They're going to be debuting this in October. It will be available to purchase. And then they've got, of course, the Star Wars X-wing miniature, the last four of the original animatronic ones from the original 1977, built by Industrial Light and Magic. Red Leader has been found and is going to auction at a starting bid, I believe, of $400,000. Yeah, it's going to be going in Dallas, Texas. They're going to have the auction for that. It's going to be super cool. They found it. They're going to auction it off. We also have Starfield, Skyrim, and Fallout, a ranking of the different opening sequences of those games. And then we have a few other little news items. Short Treks, of course. They just had Star Trek Day about a week ago or so, and they had Short Treks to celebrate 50 years of Star Trek animation. And Marvel renames WandaVision spinoff, and there's a bunch of delays with the Marvel shows up until 2024. And of course, Pinball FX to release Star Trek The Next Generation pinball table for consoles, video game consoles, and PC. So that's the bulk of the news items there. Out of that, of the sci fiction goodness. Let me stop sharing here for a second. Whoosh. There we are. So we're going to be bringing on Jeffrey here shortly. For people that like to ask Jeffrey questions, we'll bring up the chat window here in a second. He is an amazing science fiction creator and filmmaker. He's got a super cool new project called The Eagle Has Landed, which is based off the Space 1999 universe and inspired, the space race and all the goodness that space exploration is. I'll let him tell you more. It's his project. He knows more than me. And he's got a lot of other cool things he's working on. We've been doing a lot of events. We just got done. We have one more piece of content to launch from San Diego Comic-Con. They're going to be getting all the video contents, uploading all the rest of it from STL V57 Year Mission in Las Vegas. That's the Star Trek themed event. And we're going to do one on the Gulf Coast. We're taking a little break right now. And we probably next one will be like towards the end of after the holidays. So after November, December, somewhere maybe February, March. And then we'll kick full throttle in for next year for the there may be one in January. It's looking like there's probably one in January, early January. We'll be doing looking at possibly going to Fan Expo in New Orleans. So everybody hope that happens. That'll be awesome. Look forward to seeing all of our friends down there, like Randolph from the Federation, and our friends at Louisiana Ghostbusters, and tons of good people down there in Louisiana. All of our friends, like Adam, who is a friend of ours. He's done event coordination in the past himself, and just tons of people down there we're looking forward to seeing. They've got a pretty good lineup. Of course, a little ways off, so they're probably adding way more guests. So there'll be more guests to come. But yeah, it'll be pretty fun. It looks pretty good. There's some coffee here. Got some goodness. But I hope everybody's having a beautiful weekend. Or had a beautiful weekend, rather. It's not Monday. But yeah, basically we're going to be taking a little break from events. We are looking for advertisers and sponsors for the platform. If you'd like to be a main sponsor for the platform, feel free to contact us. Just message us on our Facebook, or you can send us a message on our contact form on the site at Sci-Fiction. I just go to the upper right corner. There's a contact tab. Click it, and you can fill out the form and send us a message, and it'll shoot it straight to the bridge. And me or my assistants will get to it. We respond within 24 hours usually. So if you want to be a sponsor, we're looking to activate more writers and more parts to the site to build it out even further and build some more creative, cool. It's a really cool stuff for everybody that I think they'll really enjoy. Working on some other little bells and whistles that'll really take it to the next level. And we're looking for more writers for sure. Maybe to get like 2 or 3 more writers and activate some more sections of the site. We may want to do some more stuff with. We definitely want to do some more stuff with video games, because video games is a very big thing now and always has been. We want to get some. If you're interested in retro gaming or console gaming or portable games or whatever, if you're a little bit of everything and you know how to write good articles about that and are enthusiastic and share a passion for video games or sci-fi or any of that good stuff, we need it. We need some help. So you can talk to us about that. We do pay. As we're kind of getting off the ground, we have yet to get any solid big sponsors yet. But if we can get some sponsors or some good advertisers, we'll be definitely able to pay more, of course, a little bit as things progress forward. But we are going full throttle. This week's been pretty good, everybody. I thank all the fans for following and joining these pages. We are at YouTube is at Sci-Fiction Official, working on getting the numbers up on that. Facebook, Sci-Fiction COM. Twitch, Sci-Fiction COM. and Twitter at Sci-Fiction. We're broadcasting, simulcasting on all stations right now, on all the digital awesomeness. My name is Owen Cotter. You're watching Sci-Fiction. We have, in about 5 or 10 minutes, Jeffrey will be joining us. We are going to open the prompt up for questions. If you would like to ask him a question or anything you just generally want to talk about with him, science fiction related, feel free to ask because he knows a lot of things. He's a science fiction filmmaker. He's worked on all kind of goodies. He's friends with a lot of these creators and actors and various people. It looks like, and he's definitely a wealth of knowledge. I can tell you right now, just we'll be doing some research on him. He looks like an amazing individual. We're really looking forward to talking with him on the broadcast. And yeah, this new documentary called "The Eagle Has Landed" looks absolutely amazing. We're really looking forward to seeing how he does with that. I think they raised a good bit. Their max goal was 500,000. They've raised about 60 or 70,000 so far, I believe. We're up to 60 something thousand. So hopefully this will help out too. We'll share this and turn this into an article. Also, if you're listening to this broadcast, this will be episode 51 on the iHeartRadio show. We'll be taking the audio from this and uploading it. So just everybody's joining us, let them know that. You can find all of our radio episodes. This is like we just wrapped up one more and we've done 1 year even. And it's on iHeartRadio. And just look for Subspace Radio Network. And it's the Dare to Wonder, which is professional geek radio on Subspace Radio Network on iHeartRadio. And go to that. And then on 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, I believe it's 6 to 7 p.m. or Pacific, is the broadcast. Well, 2 hours before Pacific, whatever that is. 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific, I believe that would be. Is the broadcast on the West Coast. East Coast, Central Standard Time would be 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I don't know what Mountain Time is and all the other ones. Tons of time zones. But yeah, the radio show's on. If you want to find out the actual show listing and all the different shows on their station, go to trekfederation.com. Click the drop down. There'll be says Subspace. Click it. It'll shoot you to the Subspace Radio Network. iHeartRadio is just show listings. We go live. We air on Thursdays at 7 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're also syndicated a couple other times, I think, during the week. So you can find our broadcast on there. Also, the archives on iHeartRadio and Spreaker, as well as here our live broadcast that we try and do one once a week on the live broadcast as well, on simulcast as well. All our social media is. As we said earlier, we are looking for sponsors and advertisers for the platform. If you have any super cool products, science fiction props, sculptures, you're a t-shirt company, you have a comic book you want news pumped out, you're a movie, a film project, anything and everything, we are looking for people to partner with that are in the science fiction, pop culture, video games, everything and beyond, John, whether it's Star Trek related, Star Wars related, anything that doesn't deal with heavy licensing. As long as you're an independent creator and have any kind of a small budget or anything you want to do, we'll work with you. We are looking for some solid sponsors, though, to take this thing to the next level because we've been working on it very, very hard. And so that'd be awesome. So we can really push it to the pedal to the metal, warp speed, light speed, ludicrous speed, Beggar's Canyon back home, full throttle. So we're going to go in full throttle with this awesome goodness. We will be joining us here shortly. Will be Jeffrey. We're looking forward to talking with him. For everybody just joining, my name is Owen Cotter, and you're watching Sci-Fiction simulcasted all across the entire network of sci-fiction goodness. For people listening on the radio, this is episode 51, and this is episode 51 of the Subspace Radio Network iHeartRadio Sci-Fiction Radio Show. For anybody wants to join in on the chat, we're going to bring in the chat overlay here, and we'll kick that on. As your comments come in, we will feature them on the site and everything beyond. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day. This is Monday, which will be airing this on the radio on Thursday, which would be the 21st, I believe, of September. This month flew by quick, very, very quick. So we got a lot of stuff. I wanted to show everybody one little thing here. Let me bring this on the screen. We're going to be talking with Jeffrey today about his project. It's called The Eagle Has Landed. The Eagle Has Landed is a new documentary exploring the origins and cultural impact of the Eagle spacecraft from the classic TV series Space 1999. They're doing a massive Kickstarter campaign here. This is an amazing project. I highly recommend going to Kickstarter and searching for this. We'll put the link in the description after the thing's done. We'll generate it and put it into the YouTube link and onto the page as well. I'll get that on there after here. We'll embed that. So everybody, when you finish watching this, you can click and go to the direct link to the Kickstarter. So we'll do that. Yes, indeed. Everybody's doing good. We had a blast out of STLV 57 year mission, going through all the video parts and all the pieces we got. We got a lot of B roll too that goes along with each interview we did. I mean, some amazing interviews. We got about, I think, total over maybe a dozen pieces of video content, a dozen interviews, ranging from actors to directors to major people in sci-fi too. Some really big names, companies that are doing hot, top level trending topics, such as we got some more stuff for Factory Entertainment. We love Factory Entertainment. So if y'all are watching, check out Factory Entertainment. We have several videos that we posted there recently. One's with Barry Eldridge talking about all the new phaser goodies, the Star Trek phasers. The other one's talks about the Starship line for FE Masterworks that they're doing. And the new one we got, the new video we got is with the CEO talking about the Enterprise G from Star Trek Picard. If you haven't seen Star Trek Picard, highly recommend checking it out. It's an amazing series. Season 3 was like just a Easter eggs galore and full of love for the original TNG show. But yeah, TNG fans will love Star Trek Picard Season 3. It was an amazing show. As for Star Wars fans, if you haven't checked out Ahsoka, if you haven't, I highly recommend you should. It's a good show. It's a little bit different than take on things than we thought it would be, but it's getting good. I know a lot of fans are up in the air about a flip of the coin. I like it. It's good. I also liked all the other shows. I mean, there's different rankings. I mean, Andor was amazing. I'm really looking forward to season 2 of Andor. So once the writer's strike and the actor strike and all that, and they can pay everybody and give everybody their money, then we can start getting together and watch some more Star Wars and Star Trek and all kinds of other goodies. Man, speaking of Star Trek, the cliffhanger for season 2 of Strange New Worlds. Wow. Hope they get that finished. I want to see season 3 and I want to see that end of that second part. That was amazing. You know what it is. If you've seen it, you know what it is. It's good stuff. But Star Wars is awesome. We got, believe it or not, a lot of Marvel stuff coming up on Disney Plus. I think they've renewed What If season 2, X-Men 97, which is 1990s X-Men taking some like years later. And they've got a Echo with Daredevil, Kingpin, and the WandaVision. This thing has been retitled, have been renamed, brother. But yeah, so that's basically that. But all of our news items, if you want to find out more information about all these topics we're talking about, you can go to our site at scifiction.com. On the news items are everywhere on there. Just scroll for the articles on the top. They'll be trending. There'll be news. There'll be featured. There'll video games. There's tons of stuff on there. This broadcast will be on our site, embedded from the live broadcast into the site, and you can watch it on there. You can also listen to the audio version of this on Subspace Radio Network on iHeartRadio. Joining us here shortly will be Jeffrey. I'm going to let him talk about all the cool stuff he's working on, including his awesome documentary, The Eagle Has Landed. He'll be joining us here in just a few minutes. Like I said before, if you want to ask Jeffrey any questions, feel free to chat at any of the channels, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and we'll bring him on and we'll feature your comments on here, and he can answer them, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, sci-fi related, anything Space 1999, Star Trek, anything he may or may not know. We can talk about it. Just have a blast. We are going to be taking a quick break from events for a couple months until probably after the holidays, maybe like January. It's looking like January. We were invited by our good friend Justin Tony to do some panels at Fan Expo. We want to shout out to him, The Weekend Geeks. Check his YouTube channel out, as well as Fandom Appearances. I believe it's .com or .net. I'm not sure. Go to either one. But he does an amazing channel where he goes to events and does. We wanted to thank him personally for getting us on at the San Diego Comic-Con panel for the Orville. It was an absolute blast. Highly recommend coming next year. He'll do some more panels next year as well. The Orville panel was awesome. They had the show season 3 wardrobe designer there. We even gave her a mic. She was on stage talking to the fans, and it was awesome. Totally cool. Fully packed auditorium. And yeah, so there's some clips of that, I believe, on his YouTube channel at The Weekend Geeks. So check the S as an overview of all of San Diego Comic-Con highlights that he built and created. It's very cool montage too. If you haven't checked it out, go to his channel. See what else we got. We wanted to thank the Federation for giving us the a position on Subspace Radio Network for Sci Fiction Radio. We love doing the radio show. We're going to have even more episodes coming more and more soon. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're about 2 o'clock here. I think Jeffrey's going to be joining us here shortly. For people joining us, my name is Owen Cotter. You're listening to Sci Fiction Radio and Sci Fiction on all the sci fiction goodness. Our guest today is Jeffery Morris. He's a science fiction filmmaker. He has an amazing new documentary called The Eagle Has Landed. I'm going to let him talk about it, and he knows more about it. It's his project, and he does a lot of stuff with science fiction and pop culture animation as well. So we'd like to talk to him about that and see how it's all going. So check a little message here. We got a few things. We got all kind of goodies. People joining us. My name is Owen Cotter, and you are watching Sci Fiction on Sci Fiction Everything. From the radio to the YouTube is at Sci Fiction Official. We're trying to get our YouTube numbers up, so please subscribe to that if you enjoy our channel. Facebook at Sci Fiction COM, Twitch, Sci Fiction COM, Twitter at Sci Fiction. We also have TikTok at Sci Fiction. TikTok's pretty big for all the sci-fi fans as well on there. So we're broadcasting. I'm not on that, but we will be. I think Jeffrey's joining us here. Let me see what we got here. Bring him on. Jeffrey, can you hear me?
I can. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out why my camera's not working here.
I can hear you. You got a camera.
Let's see. Camera. Let's see. It should be just right there.
I can hear you perfectly, though.
Okay. Let me log back off, come back right back?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, be right back. Okay.
He will be joining us here shortly. Little technical difficulties, but it's all good. Like I said before, he's doing a really cool project called The Eagle Has Landed. So I want everybody joining us. If you have any comments, feel free to comment in the comment. We'll do the chat overlay. I can feature your comments here on the good broadcast. So, yeah, we had a blast out at STLV 57 year mission. There's 160 something guests. I was like, wow, there's so many, and they had so much cool, like just art and like just sculptures and art and all kind of stuff. Let's see what we got here. Jeffrey, there you are. How's it going there, sir?
Now we gotta get the audio to work.
I can hear you fine.
There's the strangest thing happening with this where it was jumping on my phone.
Man, I love your backdrop, man. That is totally cool.
And now I can't hear you. Let's see.
You hear me?
Let me try this one last time. I'll be right back.
We'll bring him on here shortly. Everybody just watching here, we're going to bring on Jeffrey here again here. Jeffrey, can you hear us?
Boy, for some reason I cannot hear you. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
You can. Okay. This is the strangest thing. Let me try with a different browser.
All right. Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
How's your day going, sir?
It's going well. Thank you. Sorry for the technical difficulties there.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. We'll bring your title here. You got, there it is, Jeffery Morris, futuredude.com right down there.
All right.
Yeah, beat it.
Happy to be here.
Yes, indeed, sir. You've done a lot of stuff. I was researching your website. It looks amazing, gorgeous site, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem. I loved all the stuff. You've got this new documentary coming out with based off the Space 1999. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up a big fan of that show, going back to childhood, and always it was really the eagle that hit me out of that series. It was like the vision of the future, the moon base alpha, the whole thing. I thought it was so cool, and just kind of never left me. And I've collected eagles over the years, the spacecraft from that show, and I happen to be I've run into literally thousands of people throughout my life who love it just as much as I do. And I started realizing there was some sort of cultural phenomenon around this, and I decided to explore why. And that's what the documentary is all about. It's like, why are all these people from around the world so interested in a sci-fi spaceship?
Right.
So
The
yeah.
spaceship's very, if you look at the design of the craft, it
Hmm.
almost does look like a lineage of what future would be if we had kept doing in the space race. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. If the fact is, to me, if you look at it, you look at the lunar module, for example, right, or the command service module, they have the exact same kind of thruster configuration on that you see on the Eagle. So the
Right.
idea that this show was set in 1999, 25 years, about 25 years in the future, it felt
Right.
completely plausible that if NASA built a ship at that time, it would be like an Eagle. And I think for a lot of us as kids watching that growing up, we were like, man, I want to grow up to fly that thing. I want to be in that.
For sure.
I think that's a big part of it. So yeah.
You've interviewed the actual pilot from the film. How was that? You've interviewed some of the fans and other people as well as Kevin J. Anderson, I believe too.
Yeah. Well, so like one person, so Nick Tate, the actor who played the Alan Carter, who was the pilot of the Eagle, great guy, phenomenal person, and we talked a lot about just what it was like to play an astronaut in a show back at the time when they had real astronauts going up.
Right.
Then when we have real astronauts now, but back then they were just a couple years after going to the moon, right? So in some ways, the character he was playing felt very much like somebody who was going to exist in the future.
Mhm.
We had some wonderful conversations about that. But yeah, I mean, I've interviewed some fans already. I've been to both Calgary and Wonderfest down in Louisville, Kentucky. And I mean, there's people from all around the world that are into this thing. And then my good friend Kevin J. Anderson, who's a famous author, does books Dune. He's one of the producers of the Dune movie. So like that, Kevin happens to be he had an eagle when he was
Nice.
growing up. Yeah. So he's been a big fan of this his whole life too. So I was like, you want to be in this thing? He's like, absolutely. So we got a really good conversation going about it, which was cool.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. How is she going to be part of the new Dune movie? I guess the new one. It's a sequel too.
Yeah, well, the part two, yeah, he's part of that part two, but he's also there's a TV series that they've been
Heard
developing.
about that.
Yeah, yeah,
What's
yeah.
the status on that? You know?
I think, well, obviously, its status on everything is on hold because it's writer strike and the actor strike, right? But it was getting close to filming right before the strike happened and everything. But Kevin's been working on that for a couple of years, and so they've this whole Dune project. It's like anything with Hollywood, right? It's like these things take. We're seeing them when they come out, but a lot of them take years, not
Right.
decades, to get moving. I mean, he'd been trying to. He and Brian Herbert had been trying to get that Dune movie made since like I don't know, early 2000s. It took that long to get it going.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The impact of science fiction is so widely popular, and you've done a lot of you've done more films besides Eagle Has Landed. What are some of the other projects you've done, and kind of the over encompassing different areas from animation, I believe as well.
Well, so I've done dabbled in animation, graphic novels. There's a project called Parallel Man that we did. That we did an actual huge graphic novel with it. Cool story. It was a 7-issue edition that we collected into a cool special edition graphic novel. And then we did an animated version of a segment of that graphic novel, and had John Cho do the voice of the main character, with Ming Na Wen as the villain, and the late Lance Reddick also as his kind of AI assistant in that story, which was really
Like a holographic projection.
He's a holographic guy. Yeah, exactly. So Parallel Man is one of my babies. We're actually developing Parallel Man as a feature film with a company called Polygon Pictures out of Japan right now. And Polygon, they're known for, they did Star Wars Rebels, and they did tons of stuff. I mean, like, this Love, Death, and Robots and all kinds of stuff. They're a fantastic animation company. They're like my dream partner for the project. So we've been steadily developing. So early next year, our plan is to I actually broke a screenplay for a Parallel Man feature with them earlier this year. And next year once the Eagles Land, it's done, I'm gonna jump full bore into Parallel Man and make that into a movie. So that's
Nice.
And then we're also, we've got a project called Oceanus that we did. We actually shot a short for it, but it's a long short. It's about over a half hour long. But it's it's a franchise that's really dear to my heart. I think the idea of doing a futuristic story set underwater is a big deal. And there's not a lot of stuff underwater. We've had Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and you had Sequest, and
Sequest.
it really hasn't been much. And even those two both kind of fell apart. They both kind of became very, I don't know how to describe it. They're kind of cheesy.
Like season 3, Sequest, they got into aliens and UFOs.
Yeah, it just turned into nonsense. And my thing is like, man, I just want to see a good show about living underwater, So that's what Oceanus is all about. It's about an underwater city. But I've got a lot of different permutations of that. That could become a movie, it could become a TV series. There's a lot of things. And so actually Lance Reddick, the actor who passed away earlier this year, he and I were actually developing a feature for it where he would be the star. And actually, and we had Gerard Butler we were looking at as the villain and everything. So when we lost Lance, that kind of put that on hold. So we're regrouping to figure out what we're going to do with it. But there's definitely a future for Oceanus. And then the other major project that I've got is something called Persephone, which is a hard sci-fi story about people traveling to the nearest star, to a planet orbiting the nearest star. And it's about a colony there. And the colony's kind of been pre-sent, like it was, set up by like drones, robots, stuff like that, set up. And when the humans get there, and they find out that things aren't the way they expected them to be. And now they've got a problem, and they got to understand why it happened. And then they get down to the planet, they send an advanced team to figure out what's going on before the big colony ship shows up. And they discover there's something on the planet they never knew was there.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's
that's a great plot. I like that.
It's pretty cool. And the thing is, ultimately that story, it really deals with the idea that we're the aliens. What happens when we're the aliens that are invading another environment and dealing
ecosystem
with ecosystem, exactly, and dealing with things we didn't expect. So it's different than I think any other science fiction movie. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. So it definitely has an environmental angle to it without being preachy or political or beating you over the head. It's just asking good questions that I think would happen. I mean, think about it. When humans start to move out into the solar system, we're going to eventually encounter, I think there's going to be life out there. The question is, what are we going to do when we run into it? How are we going to treat it? Are we going to do the same kind of thing we've done on this planet? Or are we going to do something different?
Right.
So
there's so many sci-fi shows aside from Space 1999. What are some other inspirations or things you've really enjoyed throughout the years that kind of keep you going in the science fiction filmmaking and creating all these awesome goodies?
Well, I guess 2001: A Space Odyssey, huge influence for me. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. If you really think about what they accomplished from a visual effects and design standpoint and everything for something made,
Douglas Trumbull, all those guys.
Right? Oh yeah. I mean, we're talking about something that was made like what 55 years ago. Right? I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, and I mean, they really, really created something special there. So 2001's an influence. We discussed Space 1999. I'm a big, I like Blade Runner a lot. Blade Runner was a big deal, the original one, simply because the world building in it. I thought it was I just had never seen anything like it. And it was one of those things where you were immersed in it, and it was like you were in a brand new universe.
Blade Runner is awesome.
Right? It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. But I've liked a lot of different things over the years. Some of my loves are really kind of obscure. There was a TV series called Space Above and Beyond back in
in the 90s. Yeah, I remember that.
In the 90s, and a lot of people don't know that one or ever heard, but I think that show's one of the best sci-fi shows of all time. I mean, a couple of the hours of that show are the best of TV I've ever seen.
That came on around the time of Earth 2 and Stargate.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's right. But it was very different about these Marines and fighting this battle and everything. It really got into the psychology of war. And, there was something about it. It was very rooted. And I love Space Above and Beyond. That's a great show. Obviously, I'm a Star Trek fan, but I lean more toward the original series and Next Generation kind of guy. That's me.
Next Gen, man. Did you see any of Picard?
I'm sorry?
You see any of the new Picard series?
I wasn't a big fan of seasons 1 and 2, but season 3,
season 3 is good.
Season 3 was phenomenal. Season 3 was final. Season 3 for me was the first actual Star Trek we've gotten in a long time.
Strange New
Where it was
Worlds is good, but they just getting kind of off the ground.
well, yeah. I mean, Strange New Worlds. See, for me, it's okay. I think it's closer, but I still feel like it's got a little too much of the discovery.
Right.
The new thing going on. Right. It's like I really feel like I wish the writers would just take the time to understand what actually made Star Trek work. And what made Star Trek work. Um, it doesn't have to be so big. It doesn't have to be so cinematic. It doesn't have to be so, there are ways that it was about people, and that's what I think is missing from a lot of this newer stuff. And, the last season of Picard, there was a fair amount of heart in there, which was really cool. So
You
I
got
was
to see a lot of humanization, even in Data.
yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
exactly. Oh, the Data story was great, and to me, the most valuable player in that whole season was Geordi. I mean, Geordi was like the rock of that whole thing, and then that reveal, the Enterprise D, and bringing that back and stuff was pretty darn cool, So
Do you see the meme that the guy did with it's Paris from Voyager? So I worked on this in my off time. It was the Delta Flyer, and then there's Geordie LaForge, hold my beer. I worked on this, the Enterprise D. In my off time, the Enterprise D.
Yeah, I rebuilt the Enterprise D. Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. It was a cool story, and I was a big fan. I thought it was great. And but I'm more like the heart. To me, Next Generation is as good as sci-fi ever got on TV. Sure. I think it really Next Generation was smart, and it was they really told great stories, and it was at a certain point. By the time they got to third season, third, fourth, fifth, it was like watching a movie every week.
We got like the best of both worlds, part one. And you have to wait to fourth season, part two.
It's so funny. My kids, it's like I would talk to them about that because they were like, we watched it at one point when they were younger, and they were like, oh, what is going to happen? I'm like, guys, I had to wait 3 months,
right,
to find out what was going to happen with that. It was, I mean, I swear, me and my friends watched that episode over and over and over again, and we kept theorizing what's going to happen, what are they going to do, and everything. So, but I mean, if you think about it, we could just go on and on about all the great episodes of that series, So it was, to me, it was smart, and it was really cool, and I wish we had more TV like that. I wish we could bring that back.
I like the ending. The part when they're on the bridge and they get to see the bridge again on the Enterprise D. But the ending when Geordi, Picard, and Riker are on the bridge, and they're like talking about how she always took us, got us to where we needed to get to, take care of her, Geordi, and they turn the computer on. It's got the computer's voice, and then Riker's like, I missed that voice.
Yeah. I also like Picard and his whole the carpet. When they first walk in, how much he loved the carpet and everything.
Actually, at STLV 57 Year Mission, they had people there that worked on that on the set design. I think carpet they're signing or something like that from the bridge.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Classic.
No, it was classic 80s design.
For sure. Yeah, modernism to the max, but still classic.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I'm there are bits and pieces of all kinds of franchises that I like, but I'm pretty picky. I like of the Jerry Anderson stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with the series UFO.
Thunderbirds and
but I was more like UFO, the live action one. I thought that one was amazing. I thought that's a great show.
Did you ever watch Space Precinct, the one he did?
I'm familiar with it. Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
It's a cool show.
Did you ever watch The Prisoner? From way back?
Yes, it's the original from way back.
Yeah, the original. That's a huge show for me. I think that show is phenomenal. I love that show. As a matter of fact,
very intellectual show too.
Very smart show. Yeah. So The Prisoner is my kind of thing too. So yeah.
How
about you? What are some things you dig?
Oh, I mean, I love all the stuff. Everything sci-fi. Like Stargate was a really big one for me because it was on all the channels every day. We watch it, and some of those episodes are really intellectual, like talking about they humanize the characters. There was one with when I think it was Richard Dean Anderson's character had got that thing on his head that kind of uploaded the whole database of the and then they had to go get it out of him, so they put him through the Stargate, and he landed on the planet with the little what do you call it, the little aliens, and they had to get it out of him. And it's like they're like the fifth race or whatever of aliens or whatever, and then the whole assemblage of the different species. You got all different ones, and then they basically told him, they're impressed that he could even hold that in his head, much less. So then of course they became allies down the road. That whole series is amazing. All those series.
Well, I'll tell you the one. While I didn't follow a lot of the earlier ones, the one that worked for me was the Stargate Universe one.
Oh yeah.
And I got way into that. I think that show's awesome. I wish that had continued. I thought that was great. And that worked for me even as somebody who hadn't even really watch much Stargate. You know, I saw the movie and I
Right.
knew there was a show and everything, but then somehow I got into watching Universe. I thought
Yeah,
that's
I
really
like that Universe series is interesting because on another spaceship, way on
hmm
the other side of the universe, there's
yeah.
a scene in that where they're like walking on some planet and there's this big room and they just have a bunch of Stargates hanging. It's a Stargate factory. Oh yeah, that's where they make the Stargates. The guy's like
Yeah.
totally like nonchalant,
I
like
know.
just
I know.
like brushed it off. Like, oh, those are
I
there
know.
for
I know. It's crazy. It's very cool. It's very cool. Very cool show.
Atlantis is cool too because you had
hmm
like the gates up in space because they
Mm.
planted them there in space. They could with the little puddle jumper ships or whatever.
Okay.
That
Okay.
was a cool, that
Okay.
was a cool series.
I'm gonna have to check that out. So,
Some other shows will be, that Star Trek, of course, TNG.
hmm
I'll see what else. Quantum Leap was pretty cool,
mm,
like with Bakula and all those
yeah.
shows. It's general stuff. So,
hmm I liked the original Battlestar Galactica, and I also like the
um,
the reboot of that
Ronald
too.
D. Moore was good
Yeah,
too.
Ronald D. Moore's reboot's really cool. That's really well done. So,
I
yeah.
like the way they did that too, because like, of course, at the end of the series, you see Adama getting in his fighter the last time, where he
hmm
flies outside the
hmm
ship. And he's
hmm
panning on all the Galactica, and she's
hmm
done so much for them. Of course, she broke her
hmm
back, can't jump anymore. But and then
hmm
they take them all the ships and push them into the sun. That's
Yeah, that was
a great
something.
series, man.
Yeah, yeah, it was a great show. It had a lot of emotion to it. I mean, I think that's probably one of the most emotional science fiction series of all time.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
really, really got in there. So, yeah,
Very sure.
yeah.
What is next? You've got the Eagle has landed. When is the if you so you got the Kickstarter? Where do people find out about that? The
Well, I think
Kickstarter.
that one thing that's easy. I hope you'll put it out in your stream in the comments. But one
Sure.
of the easiest way to find out about the documentary and everything we're doing is if you go to eagledocumentary.com.
EagleDocumentary.com. Okay.
Yeah, so eagledocumentary.com, and that's got links to the Kickstarter. It's got information about the entire project, everything we're doing. We have amazing guests in there. We're interviewing Barbara Bain, Nick Tate,
Okay.
astronaut Charles Duke from Apollo 16, Bill George, who's a visual effects supervisor for Industrial Light and Magic. There's a whole host of really cool people. Michael and Denise Okuda,
Okay.
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek. Yeah.
Yes, we actually have quite a few Star Trek alums. There's a little crossover actually. And so this thing is going to have a real resonance to it. And I think, I hope we can pull it off because I think it's going to be a very interesting documentary. I mean, we're really getting into the idea that the Eagle is kind of bridging the gap between NASA and now. The Apollo missions and now the Eagle was really a thing that kept the future alive in so many people's minds.
For sure.
Yeah.
You've got the Akudas who've also done a lot of stuff with NASA as well.
Yeah.
Lending their skills to TNG. So, I mean, like Gene Roddenberry, I believe, when he did the original series and Next Gen, they would consult with like the Rand Corporation, all these different NASA scientists to kind of keep up on the speed of what technology would be or could be in the future and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, they're I think a lot of the best science fiction is truly right. Think about the term science fiction, right? It's like you have to have some science in there in order to understand what it is the actual science, which is about the basis of the storytelling. That's what science fiction should be. And science fiction can be a lot of different things, right? You could do it about medicine, right? The future of medicine or some new breakthrough or something, right? I mean, technology, there's all kinds of things. It doesn't have to be about space. But real science fiction has some basis in physics, technology, chemistry, one of the arts of science, something there like that. Whereas something like Star Wars, I think people don't really realize Star Wars, I really probably should be classified as science fiction. I call it more like space fantasy.
Space fantasy.
Right. And it's got techno elements. It's got like cool ships and droids and things like that, which feel technological. But at the end of the day, there's no real like science basis for how the stuff works in Star Wars. It's just kind of cool, and everything, which is awesome.
Cool, yeah.
Which is awesome. It's fantastic. It's just not science fiction. That's all. It's like, so, for me, like The Expanse, there's a show, a recent
that's science
The
fiction.
Expanse is science fiction. The Expanse is science fiction. They really deal with
Who's your favorite character in that show?
Amos.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, Amos, hands down. Amos is one of the best characters of all time, man. Amos is awesome. Amos is intense, man.
That was a great series.
Yeah. So
I like the one when he goes back to visit his childhood friend on was in Baltimore. And he's like, and he takes that bottle. It's like, I'm going to take this bottle.
Yep. Oh yeah.
They dropped the bottle. Remember?
Yep.
That's great.
He's such a deep, dark character, man. He's just really, really intense, But a lot of the characters in that show are great. Bobby Draper's a cool character, and Avasarala and all these different, and stuff. So I'm a big Expanse guy. I think it's
I
really
was
cool.
hoping they make more, but of course they have the series wrapped up. They have the books, and they're kind of wrapping it all up now. So
Well, the books, there's still 3 more books though
yeah,
that they didn't really touch.
that's what I'm
And
saying. They could have made
yeah,
more
yeah,
episodes.
yeah. So the only issue is those books take place like 30 years further
Right.
ahead in the
So
future,
they have
right?
to have whole new
Yeah.
characters.
So but I still think they could figure it out. I think they could bring it back. I think it's just a question of, is the appetite there and do they want to spend the money, right? It's always what it
It's a
comes back
very
to.
heavy CGI, heavy
It's heavy
set.
sets,
Yeah.
heavy costumes. It's when you're building a sci-fi world, it's not cheap. It's just not cheap. So but yeah, I mean we're hoping that this Kickstarter can we've been kind of stalled. We've got a lot of great IP, and I even have some big names attached to some of my projects like Persephone. I've got Ming Na Wen and Isai Morales and some others. And the problem is like with the Hollywood studios,
Right.
everything's got to have these super big name actors in it for them to finance it. It's crazy, and so everybody's scrambling trying to get the same actors to do the stuff. It's really silly and it's time consuming, and it just so I think what I'm going to be doing is, instead of trying to produce my stuff with Hollywood, I'm going to do it with crowdfunding or in Europe or other places where there's more of an appreciation, I think, for telling good
For sure.
human stories as opposed to just rebooting stuff.
Right. Let's
So
reboot this. This hasn't been made in like
exactly,
40
yeah.
years.
They don't want to take risks. They're risk
Right.
averse. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Where do people go out to find about all the over on futuredude.com? Or?
yeah, futuredude.com's got all the stuff. Future Dude, I came up with that moniker years ago when I had a blog called Future Dude where I was traveling around dealing with all kinds of different walks of life, because I knew some famous actors and I knew scientists and I knew all these different people, and the blog did really well. And what happened is my production company, I decided to rename my production company after that, and it went very well. Yeah. So people like it. So that's where I went down that's what it is. So futuredude.com is a great place to see it. And then Eagle Documentary, is where you can find out about Eagle Has Landed.
EagleDocumentary.com. Jeffrey,
Yep.
I want to thank you so much for joining us. I want to bring you back on to talk more once the film gets a little bit more put together as well. And maybe bring a roundtable of people together, maybe some like people from the film and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody's game. They want to talk. They love this stuff. So
Sure.
it's great.
Me too.
Yeah. So it's great. No, but it really honored you having me on. Thanks for taking the time. It's great.
No problem, man.
Appreciate it.
You have a beautiful day, and see you on the future.
We will. Take care, my friend.